But Musk set to get access to top secret U.S. plan for potential war with China. This is egregious. This is fake. The New York Times should retract this story.
Oh boy, New York Times, are you in trouble? We'll get to that in a second. But apparently, Elon Musk is supposed to be meeting with the Pentagon and get some classified information about this war that's going to start with China. The only problem is, it's completely fake. So in this video, we will go over the most recent meltdowns surrounding this topic, and I can assure you, they are really good ones. Now, before we start the video, please like the video. It's the #1 way you can help this channel, and it helps others see the videos as well.
Breaking news this hour, with the New York Times now reporting that Elon Musk is about to potentially get access to some of the nation's most closely guarded military secrets. According to what the Times just reported a few moments ago and published on their website, the Pentagon is scheduled on Friday to brief Elon Musk on the U.S. military's plan for any war that might break out with China.
Okay, just to give you some context before we get into these meltdowns, out of nowhere, the night before the meeting with the Pentagon, and Elon is currently in the meeting as I make this video, the New York Times makes this massive accusation and report. However,
Yeah, on the record, that is completely fake. And let me show you this. This started with this New York Times headline, and they've since changed it. But Musk set to get access to top secret U.S. plan for potential war with China. This is egregious. This is fake. The New York Times should retract this story. 5 anonymous sources. I've been on bilat calls with the secretary. I see how hard he's working to implement the president's agenda and pursue peace through strength. This type of garbage from the New York Times undermines that process and undermines our mission.
All right, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are also just blasting the New York Times, going in on them. Donald Trump is even saying, guys, we are not even talking about China right now. This is completely fake. Elon Musk is saying, I actually look forward to the prosecutions of those at the Pentagon who are leaking false information. So the New York Times may have literally just gotten people fired at the Pentagon to release this story.
I'm the crazy one at the table, but I'm actually comfortable with someone who is incredibly effective at putting small objects and large objects into orbit over China.
Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with potentially Elon Musk showing these plans or giving intelligence
to
just
China?
Making that up. I am not. I am saying that is why, as Abby was saying, this is why Abby was saying it's on a need-to-know basis. It's a need-to-know basis because only a handful of people have this information. Not only that, I was a former Justice Department official up until 2 months ago, and I had a security clearance.
Okay, we need to talk about these security clearances. For anyone who's ever worked in the military or a sensitive job, they are not uncommon at all. You have confidential, secret, and top secret. And by the way, Elon Musk has already admitted he has a security clearance. Now, he never said if it was top secret, but I am willing to bet it has to be, considering how sensitive the information it is he has for the pathways and the knowledge of launching rockets into space and also working with the DoD already.
What I will tell you is I was... Can you let the woman...
Go ahead. You interrupted me. I was talking here. You interrupted me. So.
What I will tell you is that it is... So the Pentagon, what is happening here, and everyone needs to be scared, is Pentagon officials are sounding the alarm. This doesn't just happen on its own. This has happened because career officials within the Pentagon are terrified, and they believe that there is a conflict of interest. That is why it is in the New York Times, because I am sure they took it to the senior-most people within the White House and within the Pentagon, and they didn't do anything about it. And when people asked me when I left the Justice Department, how do we know that there is something unethical happening here? And I said, it will be the career officials within the Justice Department who will sound the alarm if something happens.
Now again, I want to reiterate, the New York Times did not give the names of those news sources who work at the Pentagon, but now that Donald Trump, the guy who's in charge of the whole operation, is aware of what's going on, and we potentially have some leakers, which in my opinion is more of a threat than Elon Musk going into a meeting with the Pentagon, I think we have some other issues here.
It shouldn't happen at all. Elon Musk is just coming over here for a visit. Again, he's an innovator. This is a guy that shot a rocket at thousands of miles an hour that's thousands of pounds. And as it landed back on the Earth, it was grabbed out of midair by a giant robot arm. Yeah. We want a guy like Elon Musk in the Defense Department to help us come up with creative solutions to the problems that we face of the day. But this article is ridiculous. It's fake, and I can confirm that on the record.
Now, I need to point out, that is a Pentagon spokesperson. So he is representing the DoD and saying, yes, we want Elon Musk. Regardless if this news story is fake, what's not fake is we want to work with Elon Musk because of how good he is at what he does. And by the way, the DoD already does work with Elon Musk as far as space travel and defense and communications.
That is exactly,
so by the way, where were those career
exactly
officials?
What is happening
Where were
right
those
here.
career officials when Joe Biden was basically incoherent as president of the United States, and you had officials within the White House running the show, creating a disaster all around the globe? Where were those career
He was not creating
bureaucrats?
a disaster. This
really?
is a national
You
security.
think
Now, just so you are aware, under Joe Biden, you had our Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, who was sick and running a command control center in the hospital, and Joe Biden had no idea. Now, we almost did not hear about this story because, again, nobody even knew this was happening, but I just want to point out, things like this were happening under the Joe Biden administration, and we almost did not hear about it. This story was insane.
For some reason, they've decided to show Elon Musk this level of detail about a potential war with China while he operates the largest car factory, I believe, in China, and has immense financial interest in that country and contacts with that country's government that he has not disclosed to the U.S. as part of maintaining his security clearance. I just got to get your reaction to that, sir.
Okay, so of course, when MSNBC saw this story from the New York Times, I'm sure they were so excited to report on this, even though it was completely false. Now, there is a part of this story that we are all overlooking. The New York Times made a massive implication as if we are going to war with China soon, or there is a known war that's about to happen. I think we keep missing that point. We are really focusing on Elon Musk, but apparently, did the Pentagon just leak that we are about to go to war with China?
Well, speechless would be the word. I don't know how to convey. I don't possess the language ability to convey how far out of the norm this is. Like nothing that people listening, like, look, this is those of us who served, the background checks from the FBI, just to receive clearance as an artillery enlisted soldier was extensive to get that background. And then
Yeah, again, I used to really make a lot of military information videos. I was in the 101st Airborne. It's something I'm really passionate about. But even a private first class in the Air Force is able to get these top secret clearances that are so hard to get. Again, for anybody who's actually served, and Tim Walz has served, and that's a whole nother subject and story, it is not that difficult to get these clearances. It does get difficult when you get into the top clearance because you have to have a reason as to why you need it. And the main reason why people want a top secret clearance is because once you get out of the military, you can get some really good government jobs and make some good money because you have that top secret clearance.
Level of information that you can get, or as a member of Congress, to be able to have access to this type of information. These are closely guarded secrets because our national and our global defense depends upon them. And once again, we have this, I don't know, the character, the world's richest man with the world's most fragile ego. And I don't understand where the Republicans, where are Lindsey Grahams, where are these people who know how this works to not be terrified of where this is at? And again,
now, I'll be honest, Elon Musk did almost lose his security clearance when he was doing something he was not supposed to be doing on the Joe Rogan Experience, as you can see on the screen. However, Tim Walz is comparing a regular artillery enlisted personnel compared to somebody who has top secret information on a need-to-know basis, especially in the realm of space and travel. If Elon Musk was the most evil man on Earth, all he has to do is flip the switch and shut down communications for millions of people, start to divert crafts out of the way. It could be a doomsday potential situation if we're going to get very devious, or at least the way they are trying to portray Elon Musk. But again, I want to reiterate, Elon Musk is regular in the sense of he's a human being, but he's not regular in the sense of what he does for the US government and the DoD as far as classified information and missions.
That's not true. And this shows, again, the American people do not trust Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is incompetent in his position. And how do we know? Because they fired tens of thousands of people, it was challenged in court. The court said the people have to go back, and now the people are coming back. He's incompetent, he's a thief, he's a Nazi, and people don't trust him. Period.
Let me just...
All right, so this is quite interesting because I want to show you how the Trump administration really knows exactly what's going on as far as the news cycle, and Donald Trump gets it spot on, just as I showed you guys in the video. This is interesting. Elon Musk will be briefed by the Pentagon about the USA's top secret plans against China should there be a war, according to the failing New York Times, one of the worst and most purposely inaccurate newspapers anywhere in the world. Their fake concept for this story is that because Elon does some business in China, that he is very conflicted and would immediately go to top Chinese officials and quote unquote spill the beans. Ratings challenged fake news CNN immediately picked up on the absolutely ridiculous and false story, like I just showed you guys, which is probably libelous, and went heavy with it. Fortunately, nobody was watching. Maggot Hagerman, the really dumb scammer who constantly writes about me for the Times using anonymous, made-up, non-existent sources, and who I haven't spoken to in ages, is a big part of the scam. She led the Russia hoax, only to realize that she was duped and got it wrong. She owes me a totally discredited Pulitzer Prize for her bad reporting. The fake news is the enemy of the people, and Elon is not being briefed on anything China by the Department of War.
In our form of government, unless you are a coward, you don't sue the media because they report on things you don't like. You don't sue the Des Moines Register because they did a poll whose results you don't like.
Now, I'm really curious if Bernie Sanders was the commander-in-chief, how he would feel about the New York Times creating this totally fabricated story. Because, again, a couple of things. Now we potentially might have leakers in the Pentagon, and again, are we now going to war with China? And the news story was fake in general. I wonder how Bernie would feel about that.
So people I've talked to in countries where authoritarians or oligarchs have tried to seize control, the first thing that they do is try to gut the federal bureaucracy to have more and more power. And the most important thing federal workers can do that they're already doing in their workplaces is get the middle management to slow this thing down. Get middle management. When DOJ says you need to fire X number of employees by Friday, can the workers in the workplace tell middle management, hey, can you ask why? Why 10%? Respond to this email. Can we have a meeting about this? These are like the kinds of bureaucratic levers to slow them down, make them put things in writing, make them frustrated. Like this is like in Hungary and other countries, this is what people have trained for over time, is to like how to build that muscle to really just resist and non-cooperate with what is probably illegal. And it's showing up in these town halls all across the country. Like people do not want to see Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, raid your grandma's Social Security. That is not a popular issue, and they're trying to hide it as much as they can.
It's impossible to deny what millions upon millions of Americans are on right now, right? A hardened opposition against the Trump takeover unfurling day by day. And for all the feelings you may have gone through in recent weeks, there's no real resistance to Trump, there's no real hope. The vibes are shifting, they really are. People are speaking up and standing up. You are not alone. There's a movement afoot to save democracy, and it is rapidly gaining steam. It's impossible to deny what millions upon millions of Americans are on it.
Now, I found this clip, and it's so funny because this is MSNBC admitting that people need to look into the facts. Meanwhile, their own network seems to not do that when it comes to the Pentagon Elon story.
Chris Matthews, what do you make of these numbers for the Democrats?
Well, you could have seen them the night that Trump addressed the Congress. And you watched the Democratic Party. They seemed like they weren't there. They were sort of vacant. They weren't saying anything with their manner. They never questioned the facts. They let the president lie about Social Security and say that we're giving benefits to people who are 160 years old or to their grandchildren. We allowed Elon Musk to go on television and tell everybody that we're using Social Security as a lure to bring people into the country illegally, that we're giving them benefits, which we're not. We're giving them to illegal people in the country who came in illegally. We give it to them, lie after lie after lie, and said nothing. I'll tell you, James Carville, who said the Democrats should stay silent, may be partially right, but where he's wrong is you have to have a fact checker. There needs to be a war room. Remember in 1992? Yeah. Remember how Bill Clinton won that election because he had a war room. He and George Stephanopoulos were down there in Little Rock, and they were checking every fact, and nobody checks the facts anymore. And the lies are getting through to the American people.
They are.
All right, so yeah, this story is completely fake. I can't believe everyone ran with it and really trusted the New York Times just an hour after it got released. If you are still watching this video, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. God bless, and we'll see you guys later. I could not do this without you. Thank you guys so much.